Happy New Year, everyone. I'm First Alert meteorologist Leah Murphy. Now that we have officially rang in the new year of 2025, I thought it'd be a great time to take a look back at 2024 and the weather that we saw over the last year here in Western Mass. 2024 was certainly a mild year. In fact, we started off the year with temperatures running about 3 to 5 degrees above normal from January to March. April was a normal month, and then we went right back up into those mild conditions once again for May, June, and July. And then August, the second half of the summer, was actually not too bad. We saw temperatures trending slightly below normal. September, October were pretty close to normal as well. We had a mild November and a slightly below normal December. So overall, not too bad. A few notable things to point out about 2024 is that we broke several record high temperatures. In fact, in February, we broke two records on February 10th and February 27th. And then remember, leading up to Halloween, that week leading up to Halloween, and then the week after, we had a stretch of 80-degree weather, and we broke several records during that stretch. In fact, Halloween Day, we reached a high of 81 degrees, beating the previous record of 73 degrees, set back in 1946 and tied again in 1999. Day after Halloween, same thing, 81 degrees on November 1st, beating the previous record of 76 degrees, set back in 1974. Most recently, we beat a record on December 30th when we reached a high of 60 degrees, which beat the previous record of 59 degrees, set back in 1948. So we broke a lot of daytime high temperatures here in 2024. Now, December overall is going to be a slightly below average month, and that is thanks to the fact that we saw several frigid mornings as well as some very cold afternoons. We had 16 below average days, but we also saw our fair share of milder days as well. In fact, we ended the month running very mild. We had 11 above average days, but we did have more below average days. So overall, December as a whole will be just slightly below average temperature-wise. Looking at our precipitation over the past year, it was definitely very interesting. We started off the year with a lot of rain. In fact, we had a surplus of over 3 inches of rain in January and again in March. So we were actually shaping up to have a very wet 2024. And we continued to add to that surplus in April, May, and June. And then the summer came around and we completely turned the tables on its head, and we saw a very dry second half of the year. In fact, our driest September, dry October, and a very dry November. By the end of the fall season, we were in a drought, in fact, a severe drought at that. So it was pretty astonishing how quickly we went from a very wet year to a very dry year. Now, some things to point out about 2024 was that we had the 4th wettest January on record. All of this data, by the way, is coming in out of Westover and Chicopee. And we had the 2nd wettest March as well. On the flip side, we had the driest September ever on record and the 3rd driest October on record. So the fact that we had wet records as well as dry records in the same year is very astonishing. As we looked into our precipitation from December, we actually started recovering a decent amount. We picked up just over 3 inches of rain, 3.5 inches of rain over at Barnes and Westfield, and that's exactly where we should be for the month of December. So we have been making progress on the drought that left us from the fall season, but we do still have a long way to go as we have to continue to chip away at that deficit. Now, as we move ahead into January, this is what we can expect in an average month. Our average high for today, January 1st, is 36 degrees. By the end of the month, it's 35 degrees. Sometime in the middle of the month, our average high actually gets down to its lowest, around 32 degrees, and then we start climbing back up towards the end of the month. Our average low goes from 17 degrees today to 14 degrees by the end of the month, and we also gain significant daylight both in the morning and in the evening. In fact, our sunset on January 31st is going to be at 5:03 p.m., and on average, we do see about 13.5 inches of snowfall at Westover and Chicopee. Of course, we know that the hill towns do see more snow on average in the month of January, but in Chicopee, we see about 13.5 inches of snow.